Why would someone choose a holding company instead of operating a single business entity? Now, holding companies are the ultimate tool for asset protection, tax optimization, and risk management. But how? How does that work? Well, over the years, I've sold many businesses that use holding company structures, and this has provided me with a first-hand understanding of the advantages of using a holding company system. Now, I was asked by a client about holding companies. He wanted to buy a business that included both a trading company and a holding company. Now, the sale would include both companies as they work together to make a profit, and he wanted to know how to manage that. Now, in this video, I'll demonstrate what a holding company is and why top companies use holding companies for successful trading enterprises. And I'll give you some examples of them in action. I'll show you how to manage a purchase with a trading and a holding company to make sure you don't miss anything. Now, what exactly is a holding company and how does it differ from a traditional business structure? Well, simply put, a holding company is also known as maybe a parent company. It's an organization that owns another company. So the holding company itself typically does not produce goods or services. Instead, its purpose is to hold the assets or control over other companies, which are known as subsidiaries. Now, this structure can provide several strategic advantages such as risk management, asset protection, and of course, tax mitigation. Have you ever wondered how large corporations manage their business and investments? They use holding companies. But how are holding companies typically structured? Well, the primary types are parent trading company. Now, that's a company that owns subsidiaries that are operational entities engaged in trading activities. The parent company itself may not be involved in operations, but it has control over its subsidiaries. Yes, the ultimate tool for asset protection is the asset holding company. So unlike a parent trading company, an asset holding company primarily owns assets. It might be real estate, plant and equipment, intellectual property, or other investments, and then it leases them to its trading company. So I'll give you an example shortly of how that works. Its main role is to manage and protect these assets rather than engaging in trading or operational activities. Now, additionally, there are also some other types of holding companies. There can be group companies, which is a group company structure, and that consists of a parent company and multiple subsidiaries. These subsidiaries operate independently, but are connected ownership back to the parent company. An umbrella company structure often involves a holding company overseeing a collection of smaller companies, but those companies operate in diverse fields. Now, this type of structure allows for a broad diversification, but with centralized management. So why would someone choose to use a holding company instead of operating a single business entity? Well, the obvious answer is that by using a holding company structure, it's providing them benefits for growth and protection, which is probably the most important. But how can holding companies help with protecting personal assets and limit liability? Well, if a subsidiary faces financial or trouble or legal action, the assets owned by the holding company are generally insulated from these liabilities. In other words, a trading company can be subject to court action or even bankruptcy. But because the holding company is separate, the assets in that company that are leased back to the trading company are not affected. Now, that means the business is able to start trading again via another trading company, but using those same assets. Now, like everything, there's always good and bad associated with these things. Now, the good stuff is asset protection can safeguard valuable assets like intellectual property, plant and equipment, or real estate from operational risks, ensuring a long-term stability and value preservation. Now, the bad is, while generally used for legitimate protection, some holding companies might misuse that holding company structure to shield assets from creditors or legal obligations, which can lead to ethical and legal problems. Now, you might see a trading company deliberately go into liquidation, knowing all its assets are protected within another company, and it can start up again. Now, by structuring operations under various subsidiaries, holding companies can compartmentalize risk. Each subsidiary is a separate legal entity, meaning the financial or legal issues of one do not directly impact the others. Now, this separation is crucial in industries with high operational risks. There's also some advantage in tax. Holding companies can optimize their tax liabilities, benefiting from lower tax rates or deferring taxes on certain types of income. Now, this is always going to depend on local tax laws, and the advice of a good tax accountant is invaluable when setting up these structures. But how does all of that work in operation? Well, let's look at some very common cases you probably see everywhere. Franchise companies will often use holding company structures to manage their extensive network of franchisees. The holding company owns the brand and the intellectual property, while the individual franchises are managed through a trading company as a subsidiary. Now, this setup allows for centralized control over the brand, but decentralizing the risk of losing that brand. Construction and development companies benefit significantly from the holding company structure due to the high risk nature of their industry. The holding company can own various project-driven subsidiaries, each responsible for individual projects. Now, this compartmentalizes risk and liabilities, so the specific project that is being done by that holding company or by that trading company, protecting the holding company from financial or legal issues arising from any single one project. Now, civil contracting or big transport firms or any large business with investments in equipment, trucks, machinery, etc., can use holding companies to own assets and then lease those assets back to the subsidiary. Now, in this instance, by keeping their plant and equipment in a holding company and leasing it back to the subsidiaries, the assets are protected should the trading company fail. For a business that owns property, a holding company structure can provide tax benefits and asset protection. The holding company can own the real estate, leasing it to the subsidiary. This separation ensures the operational risks do not threaten valuable property assets and allows for strategic tax planning based on rental income and possibly property depreciation. But how does all that affect the sale of a business? Well, a sale of a business is usually reasonably straightforward, but these few things should be considered. Get an asset valuation. When selling a business with a holding company structure, the valuation process can be more straightforward. The holding company's assets, including subsidiaries, can be evaluated individually, providing a much clearer picture of the total enterprise value being sold. A holding company structure can be attractive to buyers because it indicates a well-organized business with clear separation of risk and assets. Buyers may be more interested in acquiring a company where liabilities are compartmentalized, reducing their exposure to future unforeseen risks. Selling a holding company can simplify the transaction process. Instead of selling individual assets or subsidiaries, the whole parent company can be sold. Now, this can make the sale quick, reduce legal complexities, and just make things happen faster. So when it comes time to buy a company, be sure that both companies are included in all legal documents and contracts for sale and purchase, leaving the buyer with the option to continue with the existing structure or combine the entities into a single company. Now, also get asked, are shareholders' agreements important when, say, 2 or more people buy a business? Well, yes, they're critical. Here's why. I'll see you over there. Thanks for watching. See you next time.